Phase 4. I don't understand why they did the new map system this way. There's that troop pinch point at 2 locations on the map, and there's really no creativity with this new system. The old maps used to have options to choose your path, where you could ask your teammates, hey, do you guys want to donate coins or goods? And choose the path that worked best for your team. This has no creativity. There's no other way to do it. You can choose to branch off on the sides, but there's no one or the other option here. They do force you to donate troops at 2 locations on the map. I don't really get it. I don't think this is an improvement to the map itself. Overall, I like the new mechanics of QI, but the map design could definitely use some work. That said, I'm not gonna refocus my phase system to accommodate the troop donation thing. I'm gonna build my settlement as I normally would, where you're doing equal amounts of donating and fighting and things like that. This is essentially just forcing you to donate repeatedly, which, yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. So that said, I am going to build my settlement the way I normally would. So we're on to Phase 5 now. We planted our 3rd arch last night. Looks like all of our production timers have been synchronized overnight, so that's nice. Full happiness, we can jump right into the collection. Make a mental note of my resources at the top there, 250 coin, so I actually don't even have enough coin to build a road, which, that's why we planted the extra houses, right? 9,000 supplies, so let's get into collection. Nice, pretty well balanced. That's really what we were after, right? So we're gonna make some small adjustments this round. It's not as rapid of growth as we've been making so far. We are going to start preparing for expansion number 6. We're not going to accomplish that in this phase, but we're going to start preparing for it. First step, remember the happiness that we have is very small buffer now, even with the 3rd arch. But we did intentionally plant a couple extra tile houses just to balance the coin on this collection. Once we delete these tile houses, we should have a little bit more buffer on the happiness metric. So let's start with deleting those. We'll move this extra road for now. Now's a good time to print some archers if we want, and I think I'll print at least 1 or 2 reps. They are pretty cheap. Move that back into its little pocket. So we've got 40 archers on difficulty 3. That should be enough to auto battle with a few casualties, you know. From here, I do want at least 1, maybe 2 sets of ballista as well. Once we start auto battling in these higher difficulties, I would normally let this cook because we're going to end up waiting on some other productions anyways. I would normally let this cook, but for the video we'll rush it. Let's do let's see. Yeah, I guess we could do 2 of those. Let's do 2. Yeah, so we've got 30 ballista total, 40 archers. That's pretty healthy. And that strategy is kind of based on the assumption that you'll actually be fighting on the map instead of donating them. Because if you're just donating them, obviously build a ton of archers. So, I mean, I guess with that in mind, you could use this same strategy and just not even print ballista at all, since you're going to spend most of your time donating them. So I guess that would actually work out pretty well for that. Um, Next goal here is to use our remaining resources to upgrade some cottages and houses into cottages. We are probably going to get expansion number 6 on the upcoming round. We still have iron to piggyback off of. So we would need 100,000 of each resource to run the iron building. So if you remember towards in phase 4, I talked about how we've been using this pocket as permanent flex space, right? So we're switching between butcher, ballista, goods building, whatever. After we get our 6th expansion though, which is ideally on the left side somewhere, this will become a tailor. And the flex space that we'll be using now is going to be on the left side. So with that in mind, we can actually use this collection to plant a permanent building in this bottom left corner, as well as a goods building, a temporary goods building, in anticipation of getting another expansion on the left that will become the new flexibility space, right? So I'm gonna do another tailor down here. We are gonna upgrade some houses, so we gotta be kind of careful with how we delete our population as we upgrade it, but we should have enough to do at least 2 in terms of population. Oops. So nice thing too with the 3x3 here is that it can also be a legionnaire camp. So there's our goods building for next round. Tailor for this round. We have the population to replace 3 tile houses. We don't have the supplies to do that though, which is fine. So we'll just do the 2 for now. And on the upcoming round, it is nice having this permanently disconnected archer. So on the upcoming round, the expansion that I'm looking at is this one on the left. It'll be 100,000 of each resource to get that expansion, which you know from this collection is going to be pretty comfortable to do, considering we got about 190 of each resource. And now we're going to add a tailor as well as some improved housing. So the 100,000 resources on expansion number 6 shouldn't be a problem. That said, we do need a road going over to that left side. So this archer is kind of, we wouldn't have a disconnected pocket for it in other words. But between an archer and a tile house, I would just rather have the archer connected permanently at that point. Makes sense? So cottage number 1, cottage number 2. And I think that's it for this round. Pretty simple. We almost have enough coin actually to buy a farm. Between the 2 options, the farm or the expansion number 6, I'm going to get expansion number 6 on the upcoming round. Just to get the flexibility space. So even if we can probably do the farm on the following round. But the nice thing with the flexibility space is that for the 100,000 of each resource that it's going to cost me to do that, I'll have a butcher or 2 tile houses or another ballista camp or whatever my city needs. So that flexibility is pretty key, and I think that's actually more important than the farm. We're getting plenty of supplies as it is, and our coin and supply is actually perfectly balanced. So hurrying up to get that farm is just going to imbalance our supplies. So yeah, we're getting a whole bunch of supplies, but we're going to be limited in archer production by our coin intake anyways. Does that make sense? So the million extra supplies that we get from a farm is pointless if we can only use as many supplies as the coins that we're producing. Does that make sense? So pretty pretty straightforward this round. Like I said, I'm gonna keep going with my normal build strategy. I think the map design is kind of funky, this new system, but I'm gonna roll with it and just plow through to my normal city design. So this was phase 5. This was collection number 4. Let's do the math on our upcoming collection. So with 8 Tailor and 2 Butcher, we'll be getting a little over 200,000 in supplies. And 8 tile houses with 5 cottages, giving us 173 something. Let's call it 173. So little imbalanced on the coin again on the next collection, but remember we had the 1-2 temporary tile houses down here, just to balance coin on this collection. So next collection we'll be getting slightly more supplies, slightly less coin, but if you consider what we have available currently, that should balance out pretty well. 173 plus the 63 that we have available would be enough to get the farm. But like I said, there's really no reason to rush that farm, because currently our farm location is giving us some coin as well as supplies. And the butcher there is giving us plenty of supplies. Obviously, we're not hurting there. But if we delete this group and replace it with even more supplies, we're going to lose the coin part of that as well. So really no rush to do that right away. Let's check our... just to finish that thought though, we would have enough resources to do the farm. Better use of those resources is this additional expansion, which once we rebalance some of these houses into cottages and villas, I think this will probably stay a butcher as well. But we could run a pair of tile houses as well. That would be an option. I think once we rebalance the housing, we won't be hurting for coin as much. Let's check the happiness. So we have 625 available. We're going to add 200 population, so we're going to consume 400 demand for happiness, which will give us 200 happiness remaining, which is enough for another cottage upgrade. Actually, probably even a villa at this point. We would be a little upside down on happiness for the following collection, but at that point we would be deleting tile houses for farms anyways. Does that make sense? So that would kind of cancel itself out. That's probably the best way to do that. But at least one cottage upgrade in terms of happiness next round. Make sense? The other option would be to use this flex space that we're about to create in the next round for an amphitheater, and use that temporary happiness in order to upgrade some even more of these tile houses. And then, like I said, once we plant farm number 1, we'll delete 100 demand for happiness, and then farm number 2 will delete another 100 demand for happiness. So I think that's it for phase 5. Hope it helped, and talk to you soon.